The government is pushing through legislation to require greater transparency around political donations before the next election. I'm joined by MBR's political editor, Brent Edwards. Thanks for joining us, Brent. So, first, what are the main changes the government will make?
Look, the main changes are that at the moment, any donation above $30,000 has to be declared within 10 days. And so the person or company or whatever organisation that's made it, their name is made open. Now, the government's going to reduce that threshold to $20,000, although it will only apply in election year. So it will only be an election year that you would have to do it. But as well as that, at the end of each calendar year, donations of $15,000 and more have to be disclosed in terms of the identity of who's donated the money. That threshold's going to be dropped to $5,000. But funnily enough, even though the government's bringing this in before the election, that change won't have any real impact on the election because, in fact, we won't know until after the election who's given those donations in 2023.
Okay, so why push it through when it already has an independent review of electoral law underway?
I don't know. No, it does seem there's this view that there needs to be greater transparency, and the Minister of Justice, Kerry Tapu-Allen, has talked about how a survey done by Victoria University shows that about 70% of those who responded wanted more transparency around who gives money to political parties. And there's certainly a legitimate public interest in knowing who's funding political parties. But it's just unclear why it's being pushed through so quickly, given that really the effect of it is only really to catch those people who might be giving $20,000 and more to political parties next year during an election year, because the legislation, by the time they introduce that, it won't pass into law until next year. And even then, it could be all overtaken by, and the government accepts this, by what that review finally recommends at the end of next year after the election, and it's looking at a whole host of things. So it does seem to be done with haste and for no particular reason, and particularly it's then causing quite a lot of political opposition from both ACT and National.
Well, how contentious will it be?
Well, that's the contention around both opposition parties questioning the speed at which it's being done. They have suspicions about the way it's being done, and it's almost reminiscent of what the Labor government did after the 2005 election, when the exclusive brethren ran that $1 million campaign attacking Labor and the Greens, and certainly annoyed the then Labor Prime Minister Helen Clark, who then got legislation set up and put into law to stop that sort of campaigning, third-party campaigning. And that was very contentious as well. And it was seen as simply being Labor having a go back, to protect its patch. That law was changed again immediately once National took office after the 2008 election. And similarly, I think both opposition parties, or both National and ACT, are kind of pointing the finger, is there some sort of partisan political interest involved for Labor to do this? And it's likely then when there is a change of government, if that's at the next election or the one after or whenever, that the law will be dumped again. So there's no real clear reason why it's being rushed through. And it is providing, I think it'll be a contentious debate in Parliament, and it's not necessarily the sort of debate you want to have in an election year.
Brent Edwards, thanks for your time.
Thank you.